Evening, this is a bit of a late video. I wanted to do it earlier, but I had to get these questions right out. I'm conscious because I don't want to catch Van Damme's new film, it's on Netflix, so I've only got a few questions here to answer. What I usually do is, like, if somebody answers me a question, what I'll do is kind of like bulletproof the answers, or bullet point the answers, should I say. But I'm just going to answer these on a whim, okay, just freestyle, just straight in the moment. Yeah, so some people have wanted to remain anonymous, but Andrea, okay, has asked me 3 really thought-provoking questions, and I really, like them. So, Andrea, how are you? Andrea Harkins, okay, from America. But I'm going to save your questions till last, okay, because I really want to save them ones. So, I was gonna do a video just talking kind of thing, just like deep philosophical, just basically anything that's kind of, at the forefront of my mind. But I thought, well, you got to be in the mood to do talk videos, and sometimes it can be, to me, it comes across a little bit vain if you're just doing videos for the sake of videos. You know what I mean? Just putting yourself on camera. So it's like I'd like to do a video or something where people can kind of take something away, okay, or people are interested. So it's better like just to answer questions. So in my many talks with people and just like friends in general, that I'm always asked questions, and what I do, I just write them down, okay. Some of them I answer in the moment, some of them I thought, well, I'll save them for a video, because it could help someone. So, yeah, let's have another slurp or two and then we'll go. So the first one is, if you could pick one martial arts film, which one would be your favourite? Oh God, do you know what? These are the questions I find so difficult, because I tell you what, although it's a simple question, you just got to pick one film. It's like I've got so many favourite films in so many genres, really, not just the martial arts. But definitely straight away, I ain't got to hesitate. It's No Retreat, No Surrender. You know what I mean? It's probably not a surprise to many people. Now, I know there's people out there thinking, well, it's a little bit daft, cheesy 80s and that, but it's the reason why it's my favourite film, because No Retreat, No Surrender is kind of like, it's kind of got a deep, really deep meaning to me anyway, and it's the message in the film, and the music, and it just had so many positive points that used to be around in the 80s. I mean, in the 80s you had, I'm not saying the 80s was the best era, because each era has had its fair shares of struggles, you know what I mean? So, but, it's did some hard growing up through the 80s and whatnot. But, for Karate Commandos, He-Man, you always had a positive message at the end of the cartoon, you know what I mean? You always had something that, like, you could take it away. And nowadays, I'm not putting down nowadays, we've still got amazing things around us, but I feel sometimes it's a little bit too, everything seems a little bit too dark and grey. It's like, the new superhero costumes, everything's has to be modified and changed, so everything's got a different spin on it. You know what I mean? Which I understand that things have got to have their own identity. But again, just going off a bit topic here, Christopher Reeve as Superman, how colourful was that suit? If he was still around today, I'd love to see him do an older Superman now. Do you know what I mean? Because I still think he'd have that charisma about him. And maybe a crossover with Michael Keaton as a Batman, that'd be quite interesting as well. But anyway, let's get back onto this. No Retreat, No Surrender. And the No Retreat, No Surrender, okay, it was such an amazing film in the respect that, like, Keith Strandberg, right, when he wrote this film, because there's history behind it, when he wrote this film, him, myself, and many other children who used to train martial arts, right, for me, someone who trained myself, okay, and I was a fan of Bruce Lee, okay, and then one of the guys behind the film come up with, well, why don't we have the ghost of Bruce Lee coming back, which is quite a risk, do you know what I mean, because you don't want to damage the reputation of Bruce or anything like that. You're taking a risk, really, and you open yourself up, for criticism. But what would happen in a fantasy world, in a fictional world? What would happen if the ghost of Bruce Lee came back to help somebody train? You know what I mean? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, but what it was really was like it was a message that every person just has to believe in themselves, or just have to have some guidance to believe in themselves. Do you know what I mean? And it was an amazing for me because when I discovered that film, when I watched it with my mates and I know who they are, I just lapped it up and I just took. I said to my friend Rob, I says, "Can I borrow it? Can I borrow it?" Like, so I took it home and just watched it and watched it and watched it. And it's just like, you're locking yourself away to trying to improve. You watch the films and you just, you get in the martial art bug. That's what you want to do. You go into the old video shots, blockbusters or whatever. Even before then, I'd go straight to the horror section because I love horror films, and I'd go to the martial arts and I'd be constantly like, looking at the horror films. And it was the era. It was the era I kind of grew up in, and there was a magic, about it then. What is not around today. And it's people's jobs to keep magic alive because there is magic in all of us, and that's what needs to be nurtured, and that's what needs to be built on. Because without magic, without no fire in your belly, without no imagination, without no magic, we will have nothing around us to escape. Not necessarily escape from, to say everything's bad, we've got to get away. It's like entertainment, just basic entertainment where you can kind of lose yourself and just get engrossed in something that holds you interested. On a mind. That's what it is to me. So No Truth, No Surrender, that's my favourite film, hands down. I'm privileged that I've been in talks with Keith actually, and he's been confirmed that he's 6 months in doing a new No Retreat, No Surrender film, which I was over the moon about. But whether it's going to be a remake, a reboot, or whatever, I mean, we've had remakes of films before, and my feelings on that is if they're going to go down that road, then what they need to do, you've got to have the original guys doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's like if they did another Gremlins, which was rumoured years ago, they'd have to have Spielberg and Joe Dante on it to give you that authenticity back that we can all identify with. But saying that, if you look at the Cobra Kai series now, that was done by guys who grew up, who are just fans, so it can't be just done by somebody who wants to make a movie just for, say, money's sake. It's got to be somebody who's emotionally involved and will know what to give the viewers at home. You've got to have that understanding outside yourself, and it's just things I'm learning as I'm trying to make content and stuff like that. It's not necessarily about you, it's how the viewers will perceive it, which I'll get to that in one of my later questions when we talk about Black Sugar. Yeah, but like I say, I think it'd be great. I think Van Damme's been mentioned to be in it, Kurt McKinney, who knows who else. It'd be great if you can get all the old faces back and have a different story, even if it's just a follow-on film. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to be called No Truth Surrender. I'm sure anything Keith writes, King of the Kickbox is brilliant. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So another anonymous one, which I'm not going to mention the name, out of respect. What happened to Bruce and Brandon Lee? So basically, I'm guessing what they mean, like what happened with them dying, passing away, whatever. Although it's just, it's easy enough to just go onto Google and just ask questions, like, kind of thing, but, okay, let's start with Bruce Lee. So Bruce Lee, cause of death, they put on the death certificate, death by misadventure, cerebral edema, I believe it is, and it's a swelling of the brain when your brain pushes against your skull. Apparently it was causing him to pass out. He passed out like on the set of Enter the Dragon. He suffered with headaches apparently, and he was at Betty Ting Pei's apartment, who was an actress in the film Game with Death, I believe, and they was going over some scripts, and she gave him a painkiller. He went to lie down, he never woke up. She couldn't wake him up. She phoned Raymond Chow, producer, whatever, couldn't revive him. Took him to hospital, I don't know whether he was pronounced dead on arrival or they tried to work on him. Can't recall that. I think there's a few different stories about it, but does it matter? That was it, kind of thing. Okay, the rumours. Look, people have asked me how I feel about it. I've never answered the question because I don't know enough to form an opinion whether it was foul play or whether it's is what it is, just circumstance. I don't think it matters. I think it's concentrating on how they lived. You know what I mean? And you know, it's easy to look up to people. I mean, when I used to look up to Bruce Lee, now I'm a man older, I think it's more important to try and look up to yourself, set your own examples as well. I'll always be a fan of Bruce Lee and respect him, but I'm never like a fanboy now, do you know what I mean? It's like, you've got to be your own hero, you've got to do it, so you can inspire other people, you know, and keep yourself inspired. Because every human being's got that in them to do that, you know what I mean? Like Skinner said in the streets, we all need our fellow man, we all need our Samaritan. Yeah, I can't help you climb the ladder. I'm busy climbing mine. It's been like that since the dawn of time. And it's that kind of mentality. Whereas, yeah, you've got to be your own man at the end of the day. If you want to lead men and raise sons or whatever, you know, it's just logical to me, that is. Brandon Lee, God, what a beautiful man he was. Brandon Lee, okay. They removed, I believe, a 44 caliber bullet from his abdomen. Okay, I think it's when he jumped up on the table. Don't quote me on that. And the rumours are, I think it was a proper dummy bullet got stuck in the chamber or something or other, and then it got fired out. I'm not too sure on the ins and outs of it. To be fair, I haven't even researched it that much because it's just like, it's that much of a tragedy. I don't want to look at it too much. You just, you know, the more you watch videos of Brandon and you get the feel what a decent guy he was. Do you know what I mean? How it was just such a tragic loss. And it didn't only that. It's the film. It's the film he died on. I mean, like goosebumps. You can't put into words how deep and dark this film is. And even if you guys go onto YouTube, okay, and look at the interview with Brandon Lee on the, I think it's Big Breakfast. Remember the Big Breakfast? I think it's Big Breakfast. If you go on there and you know, and you'll just see how much of a gentleman he was, and how he was just a fantastic kid. He was just, his charisma, everything about him, his energy, his looks, his personality, and I think what was really nice was he was on about his fiancée Eliza. I think he proposed to, I think he drove her out miles into the desert or something or other. She probably thought he was going to kill her. I'm joking. But so he drove her miles out into the desert and picnic blanket, and he proposed to her. And, you know, he's just smashing beautiful, just a beautiful human being, you know. And I think I'm probably more of a fan of Brandon than I am Bruce. Do you know what I mean? And I think what a lot of people don't realise, and I've said this time and time again, that Brandon Lee was Jeet Kune Do. He did encapsulate what Bruce Lee was trying to portray. Be your own man. Do what works right for you. Economy emotion. Now, Brandon Lee was his own man. Should I tell you why he's his own man? He stopped training martial arts because of the dynamics of his father dying, and he was growing up. That's hard to cope with, so you're going to hang around with your friends, get into this, get into that. He went that route, girls, whatever. He was just a normal young kid, you know, coming to terms with that. Come away from the martial arts, obviously, because that's been his life, you know what I mean, around his dad when he was younger. Come away, and then he seeked out down in the centre, okay, and he started training again. But if you look at how Brandon Lee moved, okay, I think his kicks become a lot cleaner as well as his time went on. But if you look at how he moved, I personally think he didn't move faster, but I think he moved smoother than his dad. And I think that was what they called the economy of motion, and being your own person, not imitation or pale. So for him to detach from his dad, and he didn't want to be like his dad, he wanted to do his own thing. Brandon Lee, to me, it sounds strange, but he was Jeet Kune Do. He was the way of the intercepting fist. It's just my way of just looking at it, you know. That's just me. I might be wrong to other people, but you know, in my heart, and my mind, that's what I feel. Yeah, it's such a shame, and you know, his ability in that, and yeah, he was great. Rapid Fire. Okay, going back to that question about the favourite martial art film, Rapid Fire is a close second as well. I love that film. And I do believe he seeked out a personal trainer for that because he did want to be look a bit like his dad, and he did say, "I want to dedicate this to my dad." And if you watch Rapid Fire, whether he intended it or not, you can see a hell of a lot of his dad come out. And there was a scene in The Crow where I think he parries the knife away, than the other gun when it's through him. And he just looks like his dad there so bad, you know. Yeah, so basically, Brandon Lee pronounced dead. I think Brandon Lee died straight away, basically. You know, I think he's 93. But, yeah, was they assassinated? A little part of me thinks it's a possibility. It's not impossible, is it? You know, it's not impossible. I mean, Bruce Lee liked to smoke a bit of cannabis or eat some spice cakes to help him relax. Again, I don't know how true all this is. It's just bits I've picked up. Don't shoot the messenger. Was Bruce Lee poisoned over time? It wasn't hard for somebody to poison him over time if they knew what they was doing. It's not hard. Chuck Norris theory was pretty down to earth. Like he says that Bruce Lee was on strong painkillers for his back, because basically what Bruce Lee had done, the good morning exercise where he put the barbell on your back and you bend forward stiff-legged, he had his body weight on the barbell, and he did it without a warm from the 60s. He said it was stupid of him. All he needed was the bar, and his back popped, and he was on his back for like 6 months. And apparently he was taking some strong painkillers for his back, and he reckons the Equagesic in the painkiller that he had with his headache reacted with the painkillers for his back, and he reckons that's what could have done it. Allergic reaction to an Equagesic, so, but I don't know, is there any experts out there, can a paracetamol mixing with that really do that? Other drugs, yes, maybe, but can a normal paracetamol? I don't know. Somebody enlighten me on that, please. Brandon Lee. Do you know what stinks about Brandon Lee's death? And I'll tell you this now. Is that, tea goes cold quick, isn't it? Is that in Game of Death at the start, there's a scene where they're showing Bruce Lee doing his film and he jumps to do a kick for the end of it, a Fist of Fury. People shoot at him and that's the end of the film. Now in it, someone gets a real gun and takes him out basically. And it's kind of like Brandon, I don't know if people are making comparisons, and exactly probably what I'm doing now, because I'm just identifying it with it. It just comes into your head, doesn't it? It's like, that it seems a bit too similar. So that's caused people to think, whoa, bloody hell, it's a bit close to home, that idea, you know. There was also the rumour, I don't think it was a rumour, I've read it a few times, that Brandon Lee was talking about reopening his dad's case. I don't know why, what for, or what, but that was rumoured after The Crow, he was going to do that. So that doesn't look too healthy. Then there was a case where I think Brandon Lee come home and there was an intruder in his house, or he woke up in the night. So Brandon chased him, and he says they was running around the coffee table for ages. Then he pulled a knife on Brandon, and then Brandon sorted the job basically. And they joked, "Did you press charges?" And Brandon says, "When he got out of hospital, I pressed charges," you know. But again, I mean, the funny thing about that story, Brandon says that on his wall in his house there's a massive collage, a picture of him and his dad, and he said, "Did the burglar at any time stop, look up at the wall and think, nah, it's not his house, do you know what I mean? Not his son's house, surely." And that was so funny. But then it gets you thinking, was that guy really there to steal something, or was he there to do something else? There's a lot of strange people in the world with, you know, fanatics and fascinations and jealousy and deluded minds. I mean, look what happened to John Lennon. And you got to think of it like Bruce Lee, like him and his mate, he made so many enemies because he just, you know, Tarantino's film, Once Upon a Time in America, Once Upon a Time or something like that. I haven't watched it because apparently they portray Bruce to be too much of a, you know, alright, sometimes he might have been a bit brash with his mate, but you don't know. Again, how can you portray him if you don't really know? It's one of them, isn't it? But yeah, he definitely made enemies. So you could pick your fair share of people who are probably upset in high places, even the mafia. Who knows? You know what I mean? But I've got my suspicions. I mean, who it could have been. I'm not going to say nothing because obviously it means nothing. But let's stay positive anyway. So yeah, that's basically what happened to Bruce and Brandon Lee. No. Okay, so let's get on to Andrea. Andrea, how are you? Thank you so much for your questions. You know, it really means a lot to me and I appreciate it. Okay, it's really good to hear off you as well. Okay, so Andrea, she's known as a martial arts woman. She's done lots of publications, writing for magazines. She's got her own blog. She's wrote books, okay. She's had her own martial arts school. She's a fantastic positive guiding light for females in the martial arts. And yeah, she's one of life's good guys. And we've done a bit of writing together, haven't we, Andrea? A bit of collaboration here and there. And she's gladly allowed me to use her song in Black Sugar, my short film. And it's Andrea, it's so funny because I've got like a song off Dan, who lives in Canada, and I knew straight away where Dan's song was going to go in Black Sugar. But I had yours, and I was sitting on yours for a while, like, and it's so funny because I listened to it the other night, and I was just thinking to myself, I know where this is going to go now. And it's actually replacing something else, and I'm moving something else around because, and then what I've done, I replayed the scene in my mind, how it was going to be, and I couldn't believe how well I just could not believe how amazing it fitted in. With what, and it weren't intended for that part, and it just come to me. I was listening to it, I was like, yes. Do you know? It's like a realisation that's where it's gonna go. And I listened to it all the way through, and I was listening to it, and I was like, although with the time, I think the song's about 3 minutes, although the scene is not going to be, I'm not going to be able to play all the songs. What I'm going to do, I'm going to fade in and fade out different. You'll see what I mean. I'm sure you'll be happy with it. So Andrew's asked me the first question, right, which I love this question. What made me decide to make a movie? Okay, so what made me decide to make a movie? Well, as you know, I'm a creative person. And one day, I'll tell you how strange it was. One day I was lying on the bed, and my son's in my arms here, and he's asleep. I was watching him get asleep, and I just started. I was looking at the ceiling. I was just thinking about a million and one things as you do, and yet nothing at all. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I started getting some pictures that I took of myself, right? Not being vain, but and there's one I took with an eye patch on, and I was looking at it, and I was just doing some, just taking some pictures, right? Just being creative, because I like to play around, just have a bit of fun, with that. And it's ever so strange. And Jeff Thompson says the same thing. It's like sometimes the universe, something chooses you, and it downloads into your mind. And I was just lying there on the bed, and I had all these thoughts and ideas and names, and this name coming to me, Flint Jacobs. And so I started writing it. I started writing in my phone, getting all these ideas, these plans down. I said, started writing it down. It kept coming, slow down, kept coming. And what was strange, I think I shared the first little post of me on Facebook. And I think somebody else as well, and maybe a flat. And I edited some things in Black Sugar, and I thought, And it was strange because the more I posted a little bit on Facebook, I thought it started to kind of write itself in my mind. The more I kind of put it under duress and spotlight, the more I put healthy pressure on, and it's kind of like it was an internal direction. And before I knew it, I had this hypnosis for this Black Sugar. Now, Black Sugar originally, Andrea, I was going to write a book a self-help book about having an alcoholic parent, okay, and I was going to call it Black Sugar. Because sugar's sweet, but black sugar might not be sweet. Things that can be sweet can turn sour, and it's just my analogy behind my philosophy on it. I didn't quite know where I was going with it, if I'm being honest with you. And I thought, out of respect of obviously my family and this, that, the other, there's certain things I couldn't mention and names I've had changed. And in the end, I decided against it. But I like the title, Black Sugar, you know. I like this title, you know, Black Sugar. Keep it in my mind, keep it, write it down, keep it there. It's not going nowhere anyway. So I got this title, Black Sugar. And I thought, yeah, I'm gonna call this Black Sugar. And I thought to myself, well, why am I calling it Black Sugar? Has it got any relevance? Does it need to have any relevance? Doesn't really have to have any relevance. But with me, I like to have relevance. So, you know. So that's it. It was kind of not a decision. It weren't a decision to make it. It was, I really don't know. It was just a subconscious download that it was almost like, again, the things Jeff Thompson says, you're just the vessel. So this energy, these ideas that manifest inside ourselves, once we put them outside ourselves, creativity, we could write a letter, we could write a story, we could write a poem. It's passed through you from God knows where, from inside, from somewhere else, I don't know. If you draw a picture, if you write some music, play an instrument, create something, do some woodwork, DIY, it's all, you become a magician. It's strange, isn't it? Ooh, it feels strange. It's like the power we have, even to make these videos with the technology we've got around us. Quite eerie if you stop to think about it too long. Okay, next question. Do I have a background in it? Potentially. Originally, when I read that question, I thought to myself, do I have a background in the content of the film? But I think you mean, do I have a background in filmmaking? So I'm going to say I haven't got a background in filmmaking, okay? I haven't got a background in filmmaking, but do I have a background in the content of Black Sugar? I'll just answer that. Bit of a phantom question that I've sprung there. It might not be what you mean, but I'll just address this a little bit. Black Sugar it's going to be, I don't like to use the word movie or film either, because I have no experience in making films. This is something that's coming natural to me. I'm naturally artistic, I'm naturally creative. I've got an eye for the camera. I've studied film, I've studied screen, I've studied scripts, I've wrote scripts. It's coming natural basically, and I'm learning. But a few people have said, we thought you'd done more stuff like that, because the way you talk about things and the way you plan things and the way you do it, which is, you know, gratifying, I appreciate it. But by no means am I like a movie expert in, like, you know. But what you got to think of, it's kind of like with normal films, you've got directors, producers, costumes, lighting, credits, the score, the actors. Then there's this, you're learning your lines. Now, if you're an actor, you'll probably learn your lines, turn up for your part, do your business. You know, you've got practice at home. I'm doing it all on my own. Okay. So basically, I've written like the scripts out for people. The clothes wise, it's not kind of a big deal with some people, because I'm required them to dress a certain way, whereas I have in some respects. I've had to change, because I'm probably getting into the main character of the film, and I've got to be somebody else. So basically, it's like people, we meet up, we have a talk, they know exactly what they need to do, they might have had a practice, I've sent them their words or whatever. And some scenes we just let the camera roll and freestyled it, and so, I tell you, some people have impressed me in this, because the way they've adapted to it, and it's like a family thing when people are saying, Dwayne, this is a good idea, you know, it's not having that ego or pride to say, I don't want to listen to what you've got to say, this is my thing, which I know a lot of people probably have done in that industry. I'm like, let's have a look at it, do you know what I mean? It's like, as long as we've got a blueprint and people are respectful of each other, which is how it should be, you know, and everybody's happy, because if people are not happy, they're not going to be productive. And I felt I've always had that, like, that professional kind of mind, although I'm not actually in that profession. That makes sense. But this is something I do want to do, and I want to get into a lot more, because I've always enjoyed writing. I think everything starts and ends with writing. But you could write a book. Say if you could write a book. Here's this example. In that friend, Central Park. Say if you write a book, you've got a book now. Unless somebody purchases it and looks inside, that's where your magic is, in there. It's still in there. But if you create a piece of content and put it in a video form visually, okay, and people who are into advertising will understand what I mean by this. It gets absorbed straight for the optics, the iris, the retina, straight in. The information's there. Even in seconds, you can see a trailer, can't you? Or even if you watch a video on YouTube and you see them ads, which can be annoying sometimes when you want to watch it, get to the video, you know. But you're taking information from them split seconds that you watch the advert. You know what it's about, and you can decide, oh, I like that or I don't like that. You know, because our nature is to, don't like to use the word, but it is to judge. It's like, I like that, I don't like that, that feels okay to me, that doesn't feel okay to me. I mean, I like this information I'm receiving, I want to save that, go back and watch it a bit later when things are quiet or whatever, you know. So yeah, and you know, black sugar kind of, at the moment now we're coming to kind of the juicy bits as well, because I've shot so much up. And it's kind of, it can be challenging getting everybody together at the same time, because everybody's got different lives, got different things going on. Do you know what I mean? Even it's been tough for me to try and do things when I want to do them and this, that, the other. But I've just done it basically with good support around me. And then there's the weather. You know what I mean? You've got to see what the weather's like, whether it fits in with a certain scene. A change in the weather could just throw everything off. You had to postpone it. People's got commitments, you know, so it's slowly but surely forming, and it will get done, you know. My character calls for me to have a beard, or, you know, close to a beard, so it's like I have to grow my beard, which takes like a week or two, and then I've got to film. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of, if I leave it too much, it'll either be too irritating or long. So it's kind of like, right, I've got my beard, now we're going to shoot that scene now with Flint, you know. So it can be a little bit, a bit of healthy anxiety to get it done, I suppose, if you want to call it that. There's nothing worse, right then, you know, when you have a cup of tea and you're watching a film, and you pick up your cup from the floor, and you go to finish it, but there's nothing in it, you've already drunk it. So, obviously we know that black sugar it refers to the street drug in black sugar. Okay, so there's the identification, there's a connection. It also, do I have a background in the content in it? Yes and no. It's kind of like growing up from where I grew up, we're all accustomed to certain ways of life, being around it, knowing people who's involved in that type of stuff. Not to this extent as such, you know, because this is make-believe, but I suppose it has gone on in the world, especially watching other films and whatnot. But it's a tale about things happen in life that we cannot change, you know, and we can only do our best to improve ourselves, to prevent certain things happening again. But, you know, ultimately some things are beyond our control, so it doesn't matter what you do between that happening, the beginning and the ending of a certain phase in your life, whether you try and put something right or mess something up. When something's happened, it's already happened, you know, and it's kind of a sad tale of that. It's also a lesson that nobody wins either, okay? And I wrote a scene the other, I think it was last week. I was in a bit of a bad mood, and I read this scene, and I read it back to myself the next day, and I thought, we can't do this. I thought, we can't do this. It was like the Human Centipede meets Quentin Tarantino on acid. and I thought, can't do something like this. No. And I read it and I thought to myself, I'm ashamed of what my mind's capable of. But I know it's just imagination, you know. So I revamped it, watered it down. Although this scene will be quite brutal, intense, and yeah, I want this little bit to make a bit of an impact. And the skill I'm going with here is that, and again, yeah, you do see this in films, but this hasn't been taught to me. I'm just going with my gut. Is that so? The viewers at home get to see this certain situation that I'm filming, right? But the character involving Black Sugar, who's connected to this one scene, is unaware that it's happening, yet the viewers can see it's happening. So the viewers know something that the character's not knowing, although they're watching this character, and it's just that it's bringing the audience into the story to think, oh, Christ, you know, that's happening, and well, you know. So it's kind of using them angles, and it's strange, Andrew, because I'm involved in it, I'm playing like this lead role, and I'm perfectly honest with you, like, you know, at the first, I thought to myself, well, who can I get to play this Flint Jacobs? You know what I mean? Everyone's going to think I'm bonkers. Oh, Dwayne's off doing his crazy ideas again. But you know what? Everyone's been golden. They've been so supportive, and they've been so imaginative, and they've been so like. They've just been great. They just really have been great. You know what I mean? And it's so nice. But at first, I said to myself, oh, I'm not too sure whether I've got enough charisma about me to play a lead role in a film, because it's kind of nothing I've done before, you know what I mean? And then I said to myself, I quickly pushed that thought back, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to go, because the more this character, I had to build this character up, and the more I played Flint, the more I really enjoyed Flint. I enjoyed being him. And you kind of understand what Stallone said about he struggled to put Rocky and he struggled to put Rambo down, because parts of that was in him. And because I'm creating this character, somewhere inside of me, like the saying goes, whatever's in the cat goes into the kitten, right? It's parts of me that are Flint as well. And I think people who know me will see this shine through a little bit, although they know it's not me. Does that make sense? It's very deep. So although now I'm in this vortex, this bubble, this film as Flint, so, you know, I'm Dwayne on the outside, but in this film, so I've got to, it's not like someone's wrote this part for me, and I go and play the part and view it as that. So I'm involved, on the inside of this film, where it's happening, but I'm also on the outside of this film, overseeing how it's going to happen. Does that make sense? So I've got to do both, and I think sometimes they forget that's what I'm doing, and it's not necessarily. It means a lot to Dwayne. Do you know what I mean? It's like the process of it is a little bit more in depth than I think people realise, because, you know, they've enjoyed playing the parts, and, you know, and they're going to play more parts and whatnot. But, you know, I'm not the kind of guy to say, oh God, this is really hard, this is, do you know what I mean? And have I bitten off more than I can chew? And you have all these thoughts, you know, and it's just, when you stop to think about it, you realise what actually what actually goes into a proper film. You know, because in some movies they have like location scouts where you just go scouting for locations. Well, I do that walking the dog or taking the babies in the pram, you know what I mean? So I was always taking pictures and doing videos, scouting location, using the locations, the clips, and that. There's certain parts in the film where it could go, what can follow on from what. You shoot stuff and you think, well, I've got a certain scene shot up, and I'm looking at it now. It was a good idea at the time. I'm thinking, now this has got to fit into the film somewhere, you know. So you do have a lot of. That's why you have deleted scenes. That's why you have extra scenes, you know. But yeah, it's I'm enjoying it, and yeah, it's we'll see what happens there. Another question you asked me, Andrew, is how many have I made? How many have I made? Again, look, yeah, this is the first one I've made, the first one. So, you know, again, it's just getting the content out there. You know, it's just getting it out there, and the stuff you got at your fingertips now with the internet. You know, it's kind of like you think, well, why aren't more people doing it? You know what I mean? There's so many negative things shared around now, like online. You see like videos, there's violence, cruelty to animals. I don't want to use the word, but you know, there's cruelty to children, exploitation of children, and it just like, and these are videos that are going around that people are filming this, you know. And I just think if people just filmed something a little bit more positive, like humorous, you know, and just make somebody's day, cheer yourself up, you know, use that energy like that. You know, you don't need to have proper professional cameras and this, that, the other, and a film crew. You just need to have intent, desire, and you just need to do it. Believe that you can do it, because I believe I can do it. I believe I can do it because I've proved time and time again to myself, like you have. Do you know when you write a book, that didn't exist before, and now it exists because we brought it into manifestation, but it started in here. You know, just as you can create a life, you bring things to life. You've got to believe. People say about self belief, but I think it's more of a self knowing. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to believe I can do it because I'm doing it, but I just need to keep on knowing I can do it. You know, that every brick wall that comes in front of me, that I need a plan A, B, C, D to go around it, through it, over it, under it. You know, I need to have that backup all the time, because if you don't, if as soon as an obstacle presents itself, you know, it's easy to backtrack and think. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, there's been times where I've thought to myself, you know, God, the average person. You know, I'm not saying I'm above average and all that type of stuff, but I'm just a human being. But you know, anyone else would have probably, look, I can't be bothered with this. Why am I putting myself through all this and trying to get people together and doing all this, and you know, but until you look at what you've done already leading up to this. See, because a lot of people are not seeing what I'm seeing. I know what I've got, you see, and it's the vision. Just like the song in No Retreat, No Surrender, hold on to that vision. Hold on to that vision in you. You know, you got to hold on to your visions in life. If you let go of your visions, they just go. You know, and you got to do not underestimate the next person, because each person has a vision of their own, and you've got your own set of eyes. You know what I mean? And you got to have a vision. You got to have a goal. You know what I mean? And the goal is to get this done. You know, you've got other things going on in your life, but it's kind of like comparable to Space Invaders, where you know you're moving here, you're moving there, they're all coming down at you. You got responsibilities, obstacles, good times, bad times, and you're here dodging them, dodging the shots, and shooting at what you want to get at. I want to get there, I want to do that, I want to do that. I'm going to take my son swimming, I'm going to take him to the park, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to make that sandwich, I'm going to watch that film, I'm going to get this done. You know, it's kind of that intent, like, and just going basically what comes natural to you, you know. But Black Sugar, it's a dark tale, Andrea. It's a dark tale, and for those who are still questioning about it, you know, it is a dark tale, but it's the beauty of it, I feel, is that although it's fiction and reality, and I'm conscious now, I'm been talking for over 40 minutes now, so it's fictional, yet it's reality, because a lot of people in it, I haven't required them to act as such, just be themselves, but certain characters, whereas myself, I've had to act. There's a couple of people in this who have been someone else, and I can't wait. I cannot wait. You know, I'm so excited, right, for people to see people they know from this estate or wherever, right, in a different light, because people are going to be. I want to make people smile. I want to make people reflect. I want to make people emotional when they want this. I want them to feel human. I want them to feel human, and that's what it's about, you know, just being a human. Anyway, thank you very much, okay, and thank you everybody for the questions. Thank you, Andrea. Take care, and thanks for the questions. I did have a few more questions, but I'll probably say that till the next time, kind of thing. And yeah, and I'll speak to you all soon. See you later.